All right, now there hasn't been a whole lot of theater these days with the pandemic and all, so when I got an invitation to head to the Palace Theater in Waterbury, I was like, what gives? Is there a show going on?
And did you go?
Yeah, I went, but not for the shows. They actually are giving tours of the beautiful theater where I learned all about the history of this beautiful palace. It's literally a palace, and the tours are open for everyone during the pandemic. Take a look.
Hello, everybody, and hello, Frank Tavara, CEO of the Palace Theater in Waterbury.
Great to see you, Scott, even from here.
Thank you so much for having us. This is really wonderful. Look at this beautiful. So, you guys are open for tours of the theater?
Open for tours. Because we're unable to be open for the public for shows, we thought, what a great way to take advantage of our time, show off our space, and invite people in to see this beautiful theater that we have here.
And tell us a little bit about the Palace Theater, if you might.
Sure. Well, besides the fact that we were reopened in 2004 with a $30 million restoration, this theater seats 2,600 seats. It welcomes Broadway tours when we're open for business, musical concerts, comedians, etc. So we're the downtown community center for Waterbury and the greater kind of western part of Connecticut. There's great detail, great architecture in this space, and we have some fantastic tour guides that are trained and skilled in providing the best tour backstage, front of house, and inside the theater. So today you're going to get a special behind-the-scenes peek.
Connie Nolan is our tour ambassador.
Connie, this is such a beautiful venue.
It really is, and we are so excited to have you here to show it off. We want to reiterate what Frank said, that we are introducing our tours again. We have a limit on the amount of people that we could have, but the tours are only $5.
$5, and it lasts about an hour and a half. Our tour starts in the Grand Foyer.
The palace was built it started being built in 1920. It opened in 1928 to George M. Cohen's Mary, and it was a sold-out house at that time. The architect was Thomas Lamb, and his brother was William Lamb, who was the architect for the Empire State Building. Oh, wow. And Sylvester Poli was the one that started this theater. He was an immigrant. He came from Italy, and he settled in New Haven. And he was a theater impresario and a businessman. So he had many theaters. But this theater, he wanted to be a palace for the people of Waterbury.
While the walls look like they're marble, no, no, no.
As you see the beautiful marbling, I have to tell you that it's all faux.
It's all faux.
It's all faux. It was done by a technique called scagliola, which is done with brushes, string, and they just kind of feather it so that it looks like marble. And if you touch it, you can see the seams. The seams are literally drawn down on the wall, and that's what makes it look so effective.
Oh, it's smooth.
It is. It really is.
There is marble in the Grand Foyer. It's in the beautiful stairs. Before we leave this beautiful space, look at this before picture that was taken during the 1990s, and you can see what a wonderful restoration job they did.
The palace was built for $1 million at that time, and when they did the renovation, it was a $30 million renovation.
We're moving into the theater now.
So, Scott, this is our 5,200 square foot stage. It's probably the largest in this area.
How big is this theater?
The theater originally had over 3,000 seats, and now we're down to a little over 2,600 because of the way they reconfigured the theater for the acoustics and the bar area.
Okay.
So we had to lose some seats back there. The upstairs, basically the seating is exactly the way it was when the theater was built, because they couldn't do much because of the concrete that's underneath the seating.
And if I come on the tour, I'm going to get to see all of this.
Oh yes, you're going to get to see all of this and more. You'll also notice pipe organs. Originally there was a Hammond organ here, and it was sold or lost, you know, after the theater went dark, or when when Mr. Poli sold the theater in the 30s, the organ disappeared. However, the pipes have always been faux. The organ was located behind the stage, and those pipes are just there for, you know, visual purposes.
And that's always been the case?
Always been the case.
Look up to the ceiling to see some dramatic artwork.
All the paintings is done with gold leaf, silver leaf, and copper. And what they did was get on scaffoldings, almost like Michelangelo, and lay on their backs and put every little piece up there.
And speaking of paint,
when you're sitting in the seats here at the Palace Theater, of course you look up and see this immense curtain. Most of it is fabric, and this looks like it's embroidered, but it's not. It's actually hand painted onto the curtain.
Okay, Scott, so I just want to mention the ceiling. It has the wagon wheel light fixture that is original to the theater, and it can be lowered to be cleaned. But if you notice, it's a dome shape, and we call that a parabolic dome. And what that does is it really makes our acoustics in here stand out. When Tony Bennett, who closed the theater in the 80s, came back to reopen it on our opening night in 2004, he literally put his microphone down on the stage floor and sang without a mic because he wanted everyone to see how beautiful the acoustics were in here. And you could have been up in the last row in the upper mezz and you still would have heard him beautifully.
We're going to end the tour with Frank. Frank, what a beautiful facility, the foyer, the theater itself, and now we're in a place that typically the viewers don't get to come.
Most patrons don't get to see the magic that happens under stage, and that's where we are, under stage, where the performers are, the actors, the musicians all kind of take place here. And you can see against our walls, a Broadway tradition is that the cast of the touring company will come in, leave their mark on their production that they were here in the building. Whether it's Blue Man Group, Chicago, the cast signs it, it's their moment, they leave their legacy here in downtown Waterbury once they perform here. So the murals are pretty amazing, and it's interesting to see the names that someday will be, touring on Broadway itself or doing other things across the country.
So come check it out, the Palace Theater in downtown Waterbury. Where can we go to find out tickets for the tours?
PalaceTheaterCT.org.
And it's $5 for like an hour and a half, so how awesome is that? Frank, we want to thank you and Connie for showing us this beautiful theater.
It's my pleasure, glad you can come, and we hope others join us as well.
all right, now there is a capacity for each tour. It's limited to 20 patrons, and they are requiring masks, of course. Social distancing is adhered to, and there are hand sanitizing stations on site.
That's so cool, and I love all the things that you can learn.
It's amazing, like that, just that fabric, the curtain, amazed me. I was like, I got up and I touched it, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool.
And we can go to the Palace Theater website.
Yep, PalaceTheaterCT.org. Awesome. And you can
we all are
reserve
looking for
some
fun
tickets.
things to do this winter, and that's something that you can learn and see with your family. That's awesome.
Absolutely, great organization. Thank you so much for the tour. I really appreciate it.